Hi, ladies. How are you? So today we're gonna do class number. Let me tell you the number. Class number 8. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna skip over 7 because I'll come at the end. So maybe I'll have some new things from summer and to show y'all. And if I offer it for sure this summer. I have not offered it this school year at all, but let's go to 8, Introduction to Thinking Maps. So I know you know mind maps is what probably retrained my brain to learn. It's a type of graphic organizer that you can Google. I can't call it mind maps, even though I accidentally do sometimes. Since that's an official name, I just call it thinking maps. And I call it thinking maps because mind maps is actually the most wonderful name for it because it's about trusting your mind and looking to your mind to see what you're supposed to know. But anyway, or what you already do know. It's not supposed to know, but what you do know and trusting what you know. But anyway, thinking maps is good too because we're divergent thinkers. We think differently than most. So thinking maps are perfect to work out your divergent thinking. So let me talk a little bit for a second about divergent thinking. I probably mentioned in one of the other classes, but we don't think like everybody else. We are a researcher like a scientist is. The scientific method is different than it uses convergent thinking where we use divergent thinking. The scientific method goes differently in the opposite direction of how we again think. This is how we think. The divergent learner. Remember, this is about 23% of the school population here. So we base our thinking off of observation. Now let's think about that. Observation means this is so crazy. Not what everybody else is thinking and how they've thought about an answer to a solution to a problem. Our observation, not other people's. Okay, so that means we actually have to do an experience. Okay, so when we do an experience, it's usually based off of our interest, whatever it is. So observation is how we learn best. And then induction. That means we're going based off of now relating it to the future or feelings. That's how we induce that information being taken in through our senses here in observation. So ours is not as, I don't like it when they say it's not logical. It is logical. It's based off of evaluating what we've seen and relating it again to past and future. Very logical. Now, deduction is the absolute hardest part because that's the best known for analysis and breaking down information and putting it back together. We're not good at breaking down part, that deducing, right? So we have to be given tools by others and also sometimes hand holding and work. But that's what graphic organizers do, like thinking graphic organizers, they help in a visual way break down information. So thinking maps, that's what I teach. So that's the tool. So then next, just like in the regular scientific theory, we can now go on with our testing and conclusions or evaluations. Okay, so this is different than the regular scientific method. This, I believe, is this empirical research methodological cycle is what's going to solve the world's problems related to people, animal, nature, and outside of the box thinking. So, like some dyslexics already have. So, just keep in mind we think differently than everybody. And so, our teaching has to reflect that. So, let me start. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Okay. Paused. Maybe I'll unpause. Okay. So how I start the mind map class, let me plug my phone in. On my computer. I think I have dyslexia or something. Remember, dyslexia is a language and sound processing. So I don't say dinner for lunch anymore, but I do make common problems like that. It's a similar category, but not the same word. So anyway, so I say, welcome to the class. And I explain to them how divergent thinking works and how it's a good thing that I think differently than the majority or mass group of people. And I tell them how I believe it's mind maps that help me retrain my brain at 38. Because basically it's that big deduction tool that I needed. Now it works best for me, doesn't mean it works best for others. But let me teach you how it's going to help with your reading, your pre-writing, and your speaking if you ever have to speak in front of people. So for reading, I'm going to start with reading first. I need to know your interest. So I ask the class interest. So I make our very first mind map is just basically a web at this point. It's basically a web. Because we don't want to overload them and at first if they've never been exposed. So I scaffold everything layered and scaffolded from simple to complex, all my classes. I ask them what their interests are for this mind map thinking class. They need to know what their interests are. So I say class interest. So I just put class interest here. The main point goes in there. Interest. I don't think that looks right. And Linda, are you there? Okay, so let's say if I mess up in front of the kids, I'm never ashamed to pull. That's why I have it always available. I know how to spell it. Interest. It just looks wrong to me. Yeah, interest.
Yeah, interest. 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 I always say interest too.
Okay. So for everybody that's listening, if you have dyslexia, we spell out everything just phonetic. So you'll know a person who's had extreme instruction and experience with phonics, but still writes out phonetically. Yeah, they might have dyslexia. Ooh, that sounds like you might have dyslexia if. Okay, so class interest. Okay, so they're gonna say it's almost the same in every one of my classes. They're gonna say things of creative arts. Okay. They're gonna say or engineering, depends on where they're compensating in their brain. So let me reiterate to you. If you have a deficit on the left side, which is logical, mathematical reasoning, and language, you're going to compensate most likely on the other side. So you're going to be creative, imaginative, right? Creative type. But there are some, I have 5% of looking at my data that also compensate on the same side. So they're really good at math. So I call that the engineering mind. So I have plenty of engineers that are that 5% of kids in my class. So the engineering, let's give them their due. They're going to say engineering something. That's just a small percent, but we're going to represent them today. The other one's going to say woodworking. They're going to say gaming. They're going to say gaming because, the visual spatial aspects, the visual aspects of all video games and all the bright colors, shape, size. They love some gaming. And also they're going to say, trying to get outside of the box of what they might say. They might say a topic. Let me see. They might say, okay. They might say history. So I say this first class, so I offer it for 4 weeks because it only takes 4 weeks to learn it. Now, if it's an ongoing student, one-on-one with this, we could go forever. And I can include reading and research class along with it. So that I'm gonna have to explain to you another time. But this class for itself only runs for 4 weeks. So here we go. The first week, engineering, second week, woodworking, third week, gaming, fourth week, history. So I take a snapshot of it so I don't forget. And I keep it on my desktop to know what class is. Studying. I'm going to study. So now I say, so that I'm going to show you how this is going to help you with your reading. Do you see how I've added color, shape, size, dimension to already? So for reading, I want you to do the same thing. We're going to add the topic of whatever we read on engineering here. And then whatever we read in the first paragraph is going to go here. And we're going to extend off this bubble. But let's go find what we're going to read. Oh, my introductory to my max is usually age 12 and above, by the way, FYI on that. It really could go lower. Just something I've done now. Anyway, something I've done. So let's put engineering into ReadWorks because you put any topic in here, you're gonna pretty much find an article on it. Yes, tons. Okay, good. Yay! I knew that. Okay, good. Okay, so don't worry about what it says grade level. We're not working on fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. Even sometimes for comprehension, remember I don't go, but if you're going to learn for comprehension, it goes in threes. 3, 6, 9, 11. Yeah, 3, 6, 9, 11. But for this class, not the reading and research class, just based off of one that looks good. So you ask them, what should we read? Unlocking Inner Engineer. That looks good. Copying Nature's Engineers. Now, I know they're going to choose this because it's got anything. Remember, people, animal, nature. They're going to choose that. Okay, good. So I kind of look ahead to see how many bubbles I'll need. Now, this author is interesting because they've only they don't really do true paragraphs for the age 12 and above. That would be so 12 and above would be starting at 6 to 7 sentences. So I'm going to combine this. That's 1 paragraph. That's 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. Just say 4 paragraphs. Good. So our mind map's already going to work out. We got the beginning, middle, and end, 4 paragraphs. Okay. So I tell them, let's go. We found our article. Now we've already got our mind map written out before we started. That's perfect. You don't want to write your mind map as you go. You can always delete or add bubbles if you need, but already have it set, so it's already done. Now, mind maps, thinking maps are usually like this, where they're just circles and they're in one color. But then I tell them that they could get as creative as they want. They can make this into a beaver because it had shown something about engineers copying and there's a beaver. They can get as creative in drawing and adding color and more shape than I do. But I like to start off real simple at first. So let's go to the first paragraph. So we're going to put what I'm going to put in what I need Jill to look at in the first paragraph is a what or a why is what we're going to be looking at. when we read a what or a why. And then I tell them, I know that they've been taught who, what, where, when, how, why, but that is way too much information for me, at least, to think about what I'm supposed to be looking for. But let's make it simple. We're just going to think about a what or a why. And I'm going to tell them what I find interesting about how the brain works. It's only really basically seeking out a what and a why with all the research that I've done. And this is a side note for you guys. The engineering brain, those that have some left brain dominance too, will be more looking at the what. Remember, that's the ability for analysis and that word's not coming to me right now, but analysis and logical mathematical thinking. They're more all fact oriented, facts, forms, and functions. The person that is the why is the more creative type. So they just want to find out why, and then they can answer the what. So that's a side note for you guys. So I said, so the thing is, in this class, it's not about fluency, comprehension, vocabulary, and how they read, that I'm going to get to read for them. But their job is to think about what natural questions come up from them that we can put onto the mind map for what and why. Okay, so they're like, oh, good, I'm good with that. I don't have to read, I just have to hear you and think of what or why. I can do that. So I read, and Linda, you and I are gonna I'm gonna read for you, and you're gonna think of what or why came out naturally. Because remember, the introductions are always going to start to set up the information and give a lot of what's, usually that have to relate to where, when, and when. So put that under what, which is the where and when. If you come up with, I want to see what comes up for you naturally. I want to see if a what comes up for you naturally or why. Usually why's come up later, but like I said.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to read. Do you know which animals are experts at managing water? Beavers. Beavers cut down small trees by chewing around trunks, and then they use the wood to build dams in rivers and streams. The dams slow the water flow and create deep ponds where beavers can build their homes, called lodges. Why is managing water so important? Water is a vital resource for all living things, but too much water can be destructive. When fast-moving water washes topsoil and rocks, called sediment, from the banks of the rivers and streams, the sediment travels downstream, flooding from heavy rainstorms, may wash sediment into places where it harms both wildlife and people. The water also can sweep fish and other wildlife away from their homes. So I'll say, I know I might take them a minute to think since they're not used to doing thinking maps. So I give them a minute. See what comes up naturally. Okay, so did anything come up for you naturally?
Yeah, I like to go from, I don't ever really want to miss any information, so I start at the beginning, and where it says, do you know which animals are experts in managing water? If I'm trying to do my what, my question just was, what animals are experts at managing water?
Okay, so let's put that into your mind map. And you know what you just did? Summarize the main point that you cannot forget when we come to comprehension. So yeah, that's important. So it was a what, not a why, correct? And it was build homes. We don't need a lot of words. We need our mind.
Okay. Oh, mind map, right? Not a complete sentence.
No, we just need a couple of words or acronym, just something to recall your memory. Build homes? Animals build homes?
Yeah. Animals.
Okay. And I just ran a room, so I can go here.
Well, wasn't it water? They're experts at managing water.
Oh, gotcha. I got you.
And I don't need to mention beavers because the whole article's about beavers.
Oh, yeah, beavers. Actually,
What is the
creative side
title
of
of
me
the article?
really wants to make this into a beaver. Okay, I can't. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. So a student definitely would say, Miss Trisha, can I draw? And they'll take over the screen and they'll draw that into a beaver. I have no doubt that's gonna happen. Um, so basically to make a long story short, this would be beginning. This is still the middle because you got your major details here in the middle, and this will be your conclusion. And you just go on filling the mind map out this way. So it's a lot like reading and research, but reading and research class, we never went off the page to go research anything. Reading and research is an ongoing class. This is a 4-week just introduction to mind map class. So anyway, so I tell them, good, we have our whole thinking map filled out, but this is not any good if you don't go back and read what you wrote. So we have somebody read every single one back to everybody else using our little acronyms and our little notes. And then I say, did you realize what you just did? And they're like, what? I said, you just summarized perfect what we just read. And they're like, yeah, I guess I did. I say, do you see how mind maps putting what you're reading as you read into something that's got color, shape, size, dimension, and not too much information is going to help you? And they're like, yes, every single time. Now they're right. A lot of them are writing it themselves as I'm doing and showing here because they can look back and remember how they did it. Now, also, I say, can you see where it could also be helpful for not just reading, but you're about to speak in front of a group? You have two choices when you're about to go do a speech. You could put little notes with little dashes of what you want to say, or you can quickly just go through a mind map already set and say it that way. I said, I've done both. I like the mind map better because when I go to speak in front of people, I start to skip lines if it's in a line format, and it starts to get really blurry for me. And when I'm reading, but if it's like this and color, shape, size, dimensions, I can do a speech much better. So mind maps help for speech.
Trish, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just as a review, when you say color, shape, size, and dimension helps these types of learners, can you expand on that again for me?
Okay. So here about how we induce information. So,
Like
neurodivergent thinkers.
what's the color part? What's the shape? The shape is the mind map. So
Gotcha. So instead
and
of like written out notes, like in lines with like this or periods, however we're taught to make notes, and being in lines, this is inside of a shape, and which is made of color, and it's got dimension to it because it's got shape to it. We have strong evaluative skills where this is more appealing. than just written out words and lines.
It makes me think of one of my students who consistently grabs sticky notes on his Jamboard. Like he likes just to write in sticky note because that's how his brain works. He compartmentalizes things.
Yep. It's compartmentalizing it. And I have sticky notes all over my Bible, all over my journal. Like I'm a sticky note person too. You'll see in my journal, it's got mind maps, it's got graphs, it's got drawings, it's got sticky notes. Yet we compartmentalize it and we think in lists. So not long lines of phrases, just in lists, simple words to just recall our memory.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, they can be as creative as they want. I tell you, I'll have a student say, can I make this into the beaver? And I'll let one person take control and make it into the beaver. So anyway, for our induction purposes, we're trying to take from what we've observed and make it into our own personalized, looking at the feelings and future to make sense of it right here. The best way is to put it into a mind map and to deduce. Induce and deduce what we observe. You observed me reading, didn't you? So
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So so next, how is it good for if you're pre-writing something? So you're asked to write an essay on beavers. You just read your passage. Guess what we have again? Paragraph 1, beginning. Here's your paragraph 2. Here's your paragraph 3. And here's your paragraph 4. What most essays don't even work that way. They work in 3s or 5s. So maybe you could go 1, 2, and this is 2 and 3. Wait, did I say that wrong? Yeah, I did. Let's X that one out. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2. This is paragraph 3. See? Or it could be, if it's 5 paragraphs, this is paragraph 1 and 2. Wait, no, let's not just do that. Let's not do that. This is paragraph 1. This is paragraph 2 and 3. This is paragraph 4. And this is paragraph 5. So you got your mind map, your thinking map from ready to go for your rating. So again, this is just an extension class. It's not one of the major intervention classes. Remember, class 4 in the natural inquiry, research and reading, it includes mind maps also. And you read them off the mind maps into the mind map, because this is a long going class. It goes from the mind map into the mind, where I don't have to write them out anymore. So that's the goal, is to weed them off of them. Okay, so that's the end of that. I'm going to take a 2-week break. I was telling Linda that most likely I get a chance for everybody to get caught up on the videos of the classes. What did I say? 1 through 7. Get caught up on watching classes 1 through 8 minus 7, because I'm not going to do 7 to the end. And I'm going to really relax. That's the plan. Enjoy my daughter. Okay, bye guys.
Bye, thanks.
Thanks.